All right, let's talk about something we've all faced, hitting a major roadblock during a negotiation. Today, we're going to unpack a practical toolkit for handling those tough moments.
You know that feeling, right? You're in a negotiation, things are moving along, and then, damn, you hit a brick wall. A hard no, a demand that seems completely impossible. It is so frustrating, and it can really feel like the deal is dead.
But listen, here's the thing. These moments, they aren't the exception. They're pretty much the rule. Roadblocks are just an inevitable part of the process. Whether it's a price they say is way too high or a condition they just won't accept, getting stuck is actually a sign that the negotiation is getting serious.
So what do the pros do? Well, they don't just have one move, they have a whole toolkit. And instead of getting frustrated, they strategically choose the right tool for the job. So let's break down the 3 core strategies you can use when you're faced with an obstacle.
We're going to explore 3 main approaches: how to overcome an obstacle directly, how to circumvent it with a bit of creativity, and, only when necessary, how to force the issue. Let's start with that first tool: overcome.
Okay, first up is the most direct approach you can take: overcome. This one is all about facing the problem head-on, no messing around.
So what does it mean to overcome? It means you don't shy away from the conflict. You address it directly, you state your case with firmness, and you aim for total clarity. There's no room for ambiguity here. You are tackling the problem itself.
So how does this actually work? Well, you defend your position, but you do it with hard facts and solid data. You show you're determined, but, and this is crucial, you stay open to discussion. Psychologically, this projects a ton of confidence, and it anchors the whole negotiation around your terms. It's not about being stubborn, it's about being strong. And yeah, this one takes real courage. But what if trying to go right through the wall isn't the best option? Well, that brings us to our second tool, which is all about finding a more creative path. We're talking about circumvent.
To circumvent an obstacle means you find a way around it. Instead of confronting that sticking point directly, you creatively shift the focus of the entire conversation. This is way less about confrontation and a whole lot more about ingenuity.
For example, let's say price is the big problem. You don't just argue about the number. You could reformulate your proposal, maybe shift the focus to another part of the deal. Or you could propose different payment terms, or really highlight other benefits that make the price seem more reasonable. This approach works by de-escalating the conflict and just reframing the problem. And to pull it off, you're going to need a good dose of creativity and flexibility.
And now for our third and final tool. This is the most high-stakes strategy in the whole toolkit, and you have to handle it with care. This is the power play: force. To force the obstacle is, well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You are intentionally applying pressure to make the other side change their position. This isn't about persuasion or creativity, it's about using your power to change the balance of the entire negotiation.
So what does that look like? You might leverage your bargaining power. Maybe you've got other offers on the table. You could create a sense of urgency, like a deadline that forces a decision. Or you might make a small strategic concession just to get them to give in on a much bigger point. It's a calculated risk for sure.
And that risk is significant. I mean, really significant. While the force strategy can be effective, it can also backfire. And I mean spectacularly. It can damage a long-term relationship or even cause a complete breakdown in the talks. It is a tool you have to use wisely, if you even use it at all.
So, we have our 3 tools: overcome, circumvent, and force. But the true skill here isn't just knowing what the tools are. The real art is in knowing which one to pick for the right situation.
So let's do a quick side-by-side. Overcome builds your credibility through firmness. Circumvent demands flexibility to find those creative workarounds. And force relies on pressure and leverage, but it's always high risk. The best negotiators, they know how to switch between these modes seamlessly.
You know, the legendary strategist Sun Tzu said it perfectly. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. And that applies so directly to negotiation. The goal isn't to crush your opponent. It's to get what you need, ideally in a way that keeps the relationship intact and avoids a big fight.
And this really gets to the heart of it, a key shift in mindset. A roadblock isn't a failure. For a really skilled negotiator, it's actually an opportunity to better understand what the other side needs and get closer to an agreement where everybody wins.
So the next time you hit that wall, that sticking point in a negotiation, just take a breath and think about your toolkit.
That obstacle isn't the end of the conversation, it's the beginning of the real strategy. So, the only question left is, which tool will you choose?